Put him down as in the top 10 worst signings Tottenham have ever made. This was just never going to work. He's just not doing it this season. Should have been sold 5 years ago. Hi, Rob.
Abby Summers, Tottenham Hotspur fan. Are you ready for keep, sell or bench?
I am ready for keep, sell or bench.
Hugo Lloris, keep, sell or bench?
Sell.
Why?
We're selling Lloris because he's 36 years old. He is past the sell-by date now. I know keepers get better when they get older. However, we've surpassed that. There's no disputing he's been a fantastic keeper and servant to Tottenham. However, I've also seen him drop one in the back of the net more times than I can actually count. For me, he's club captain, but he's never really been the club captain in my eyes. I'd always look at the captain as more as Kane. I think you need a strong leader if you're going to have a goalkeeper as your captain. It's not something you really see all the time now. And I think that he's let us down in big moments. Yes, that's not to say he hasn't also kept us in big games, in big moments, and been fantastic. But at the same time, I think he's been there for 11 years now. I think it's time to say goodbye. I'm seeing too many errors to warrant keeping him. I think it's time for a change.
Fraser Forster.
So, I don't know if he's on loan or whatever he is, but he's only played once, I think, for Spurs this season. He's fine, but he's not exactly going to be a replacement for Hugo Lloris. I think he's also a little bit older as well now. So, for me, sell.
Matt Doherty.
Funnily enough, he's actually not the worst fullback at the club. Despite what he was like when he came in from Wolves under Mourinho. It's a bit slim pickings if I'm saying I want to keep him, isn't it? I think we'll keep him on the bench for now. Keep him on the bench. Not
Christian Romero.
Keep. He's by far the best centre-back at Tottenham. Can be a little bit rash sometimes, but I do kind of love that Argentinian kind of fiery personality that he's got about him. I think on his day, he's a Rolls Royce. I think sometimes you just maybe don't see it so much lately because maybe the partnership he's in. Yeah, I definitely would keep him. He's also just won the World Cup with Argentina, so we know how good he can be.
Davison Sanchez.
Sell. Again, not the worst centre-back at the club, but he came in, I think, 5 years ago to kind of take over from Toby Alderweireld. He had one good season, that first season, and he was playing next to Jan Vertonghen, so most people would look good. But for me, he's just never kicked on. He's prone to mistakes, sometimes careless, gets caught out of position way too much on that high line. And for me, just never lived up to I think it was 60 million they paid for him. So sell.
Emerson Royale.
Sell. Do I even need to speak? Do I need to, really? Just because he came from Barcelona doesn't mean he's going to be any good. And I wish Tottenham would learn this. I don't know, a lot of the times he looks like he's won a competition to actually play. Sometimes can be good defensively, I might give him that. Just can't get forward, just doesn't do much. I'd put him down as in the top 10 worst signings Tottenham have ever made.
Eric Dyer.
Sell. Should have been sold 5 years ago. Not good enough. Don't know how he got in the England team. Don't know what Gareth Southgate was watching to even put him in. So for me, Eric Dyer, we could have sold him for £50 million. United won him for £50 million. I think it was 2015, and we didn't sell him. And that is criminal business. Criminal. Sell him. I'd take a fiver.
Japhet Tenganga.
Sad, but sell. I love that he's, Tottenham born and bred, but he had a few good games under Jose Mourinho, looked really promising, then was played completely out of position by Mourinho, has barely featured under Conte. Sell.
Ben Davis.
Loyal servant. Always gives you a 6 or 7 out of 10. Doesn't do that much wrong. Probably actually been one of our better defenders in the last few years in that 3. He's been there a long time. He's actually, I think, due a testimonial nearly. Part of me wants to keep him on the bench because he's reliable. But then I do think maybe it's probably time to sell. We'll keep him on the bench because I don't think I've actually benched anyone yet.
Sell or bench?
Bench.
Clement Longley.
I think he's only on loan, so I'd send him back. He's, again, not the worst, but he's... I don't know, when I think about Tottenham's transfer targets in the summer, Bastoni, Garvidol, and then they've ended up with Longley, again from Barcelona. I'm just not seeing what I would want to have been seeing from him. I mean, he didn't come with like a massive, hype around him, but I just think he's a bit average. Like, I'd just send him back on loan. No harm.
Jed Spence.
Keep. Let's play Jed Spence. Let's free Jed Spence. We saw how good he was at Forest last season. He's the perfect rough diamond star player that you would think Antonio Conte would want, yet he would have rather played Emerson Royale all season for some bizarre reason. So for me, Jed Spence, he's got so much talent. He could have gone anywhere in the summer. Everyone was looking at him. He's come to Tottenham, and I think we're just kind of killing his confidence at the moment by not playing him. He was in Team of the Year last year for the Championship, got promoted with Forest, and I think he's got so much talent. And under the right manager, whether that be Conte or Pochettino or whoever, I think he will be an absolute star, so we keep him.
Pierre-Emile Højbjerg.
We keep Højbjerg. He's a leader. I think that's another thing Tottenham don't have, is too many leaders who can kind of grab a game by the scruff of the neck and do something. I know he's not everyone's favourite. They say he doesn't do much, but I actually think he does. He does a lot of the clean-up work, and I actually worry to think where we might be without him in midfield. So I like him. Let's keep him.
Ryan Sessegnon.
Just underwhelming. Like, again, came in with like such promise, but every time he's got to take someone on, he just shits himself. Like, he's got pace, and I like him in that sense, but I don't think we're going to get much more out of Ryan Sessegnon, to be honest with you. I think probably sell.
Dejan Kulusevski.
Keep. He is the light of my life. He is the only bright spark, I think, when I think of Tottenham at the minute. I think he's now 22, brought him in at 21. No one had any expectation from him because of Juventus. Everyone was saying he's a flop. But he came in, he burst onto the scene. I think for me, he's the whole reason Tottenham got Champions League last season, along with Bentancur. So I love Kulusevski. I think that we see when he doesn't play the difference it makes. And he's just got so much quality. And for me, we absolutely keep him.
Oliver Skip.
Bench Skip. He's had a lot of injuries. He was doing really, really well last season. Then he got a long-term injury, big groin problem, which actually the coaching staff made worse. I wouldn't sell him. I think he's still got potential. I think he still does a job. I love that he's a proper Tottenham boy. So yeah, we bench him.
Rodrigo Bentancur.
Keep. Another great signing. Last January was the turning point for Tottenham. We'd never have got into those Champions League spots without Kulusevski and Bentancur. He's so silky smooth. He reminds me of Berbatov in midfield, the way he plays. And I just love him. I think, again, you see the difference when he's not in the side.
Ivan Perisic.
Probably our best fullback. He's a bit old. I'd still keep him. I think he's got a lot of experience. We've seen him at various other teams and what he can offer. He can cross a ball, which is more than most of the other fullbacks can say. So we keep Perisic.
Yves Bissouma.
Yeah, we keep him. Was fantastic for Brighton. Has come in. It's just not thriving under Conte's system. But then again, I would say most players are not thriving in this system at the minute. He's much better when he's got a 3 in midfield rather than being kind of pinned in a 2, which is where he's being made to play. And he's creative. He can kind of create. He can defend. He can do a bit of everything. But he's just not doing it at the moment. But I do believe that under a different manager or in a different system, you would see the Bissouma that everyone wanted in the summer. So yeah, we keep him.
Pape Sarr.
Haven't really seen much of him. He's been out on loan, and I think he came on the other day. I mean, it's a bit hard to pass judgment, but let's say bench.
Son Heung-min.
We keep Son. I mean, I know he's having a terrible season. I think it's 3 goals, which came in 1 game off the bench against Leicester. I think that, again, it's just, I've never seen a bigger turnaround of a player. Like, for him to go from Golden Boot winner and always consistently, every season he's been at Tottenham, which I think is now 6 or 7 seasons, it's always been consistently up there with numbers, whether or not it's winning the Golden Boot or contributing with assists and everything. He's just not doing it this season, and I think it's a confidence thing. I think also maybe the way it's being utilised off the pitch as well as on the pitch. But anyone knows, you look at Son, there's a world-class player there, and something's just not ticking over at the moment for him. But we keep him. I'm sure he'll get his form back.
Harry Kane.
We keep Kane. Whether or not Kane wants to stay is a different conversation. But we keep Kane. I think there's still not many better forward players in the world than Harry Kane. He can drop deep. He's the only creative outlet Tottenham have. If he wants to, whether or not be in the box or drop deep and kind of put it on a plate for everyone else. And he's only got a year, I think, left on his contract at the end of this season, so whether or not he stays is another question, but we try and do everything we can to keep Harry Kane at the moment.
Richarlison.
Keep, but play in a different position. I think when he's out on the wing, it doesn't benefit him. We see how he plays for Brazil down the middle. If there was a way we could incorporate all 4 players in Kulusevski, Richarlison, Kane and Son when they're all fit to start, I think, you know, we'd be that team that we were last season, you know, being emphatic on the break, scoring goals, looking good when we push forward. And I think Richarlison down the middle, where we see him for Brazil, is far better than putting him on the wing. And if you had Kane behind him doing less of, you know, kind of the scoring, more of the assisting and being that creator, I think Richarlison would get loads of goals.
Brian Hill.
He's all right. Like, we haven't seen that much of him. Again, he was on loan last season. He's come back and he's featured in a few Champions League games where he's come on and he's looked like he's got a bit of energy and firepower and can make a little bit of difference, whether it's winning fouls or something like that. I still think he needs to bulk up a bit. He's a little bit too weak for me. But I'd probably bench him. I'd give him another season.
Lucas Moura.
Sell. I mean, I love him for Ajax. We'll forever love him for Ajax. But apart from that, do you know what? I can only think of another game where I've really seen his impact, which was, I think it was a 3-0 hat-trick against Huddersfield in the same season, maybe. So for me, I think it's time to say bye to Lucas Moura. He's also old now. He's done his job. He hasn't been doing anything for the last 2 seasons. He's barely featured. So let's just get rid of the deadwood, clear out.
Finally, Antonio Conte.
Can I bench him?
Up to you.
Get rid. Because I just don't see the point. The guy hasn't signed a contract extension. He's got 6 months left on the contract. He's obviously playing hardball with Levy and Enoch, and this was just never going to work unless you were just going to give him everything he wanted, which is, you know, probably 150 million per window to go and build a team that's already made, rather than work kind of what you've got and bring in youth and stuff like that. And Enoch and Daniel Levy don't work like that. So for me, as much as it pains me to say it, because he's a great manager, I'll probably go to another club and win something else, like every manager does. I think it might be better to just get rid, because this is probably going to turn very toxic very quickly if things don't start to pick up. Thank you.